After what seems to be months and months of battles between the heads of Microsoft and Sony, we might have finally just gotten our answer to the age-old question. Will Call of Duty be a console exclusive to Xbox? Find out up next. What up, guys? This is Kalo. I'm here to give you the lowdown on all things gaming, and if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content. What is often considered to be the biggest hot button issue in the gaming world is, should Xbox turn heel on the gaming industry and wall off gaming's biggest franchise behind their banner? Well, we might have finally gotten that answer. In an interview on The Verge's The Decoder podcast, more light was shed on this subject with the boss himself, Phil Spencer, when we got even further confirmation that Call of Duty will continue to be available on all platforms for the foreseeable future. Phil Spencer stated in this interview that, quote, "This idea that we would write a contract that says the words forever in it is a little bit silly, but to make a longer term commitment that Sony and regulators would be comfortable with, I have no issues with that at all." Now, this press tour of sorts that Phil Spencer is taking is to kind of clear the air on all this, because Activision Blizzard's deal is still under investigation by multiple institutions in the EU, the UK, and the US. But for what it's worth, Phil Spencer throughout this whole ordeal stuck to their guns and stated numerous times that they would treat Call of Duty like Minecraft, with Phil Spencer even stating at some point he would love to see Call of Duty even on the Nintendo Switch. To further back this point, Phil Spencer stated on the Decoder podcast that we think Call of Duty will be on PlayStation as long as players want to play Call of Duty on PlayStation. That's not a competitive threat against PlayStation, that's just kind of a pragmatic way of looking at it. Now, to stoke the fire a little bit, Nilay Patel, who is the host of the Decoder podcast, said that Xbox could potentially circumvent prior agreements through means of streaming like Game Pass. Spencer then cut in saying native Call of Duty on PlayStation, not linked to them having to carry Game Pass or streaming. If they want a streaming version of Call of Duty, we can do that as well, just like we do on our own consoles. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is doing great on PlayStation and Xbox, so will the next game, and the next, and the next. Native on the platform. Not having to subscribe to Game Pass, Sony does not need to take on Game Pass to their platforms to make this happen. There's nothing hidden. We want to continue to ship Call of Duty on PlayStation without any of that weird, aha, I figured out that I gotcha. So now the ball's in Sony's court, along with their CEO, Jim Ryan. Now, Sony CEO Jim Ryan said in a statement a while back provided to GameIndustries.biz that the offer of Call of Duty being multi-platform for the next 3 years was, quote, inadequate on many levels, and failed to take into account the impact on our gamers. We want to guarantee PlayStation gamers to continue to have the highest quality Call of Duty experience, and Microsoft's proposal undermines this principle. I hadn't intended to comment on what I understood to be private business discussions, but I feel the need to set the record straight because Phil Spencer brought this into public forum. And personally, like I've stated before, I think Call of Duty is just too big of a game to keep on one platform. Factor in all the money it makes on all the platforms like PlayStation and mobile, and this further backs the idea to keep it multi-platform. And to be clear, this never rules out the factor of Xbox using exclusivity as a bargaining chip in the future. But what could they bargain for? I really don't know right now. But as investigations go on, they want to be on their best behavior and show this deal isn't negatively affecting the gaming industry at large. But as per usual, I will pass this question off to you. If you were Phil Spencer, would you stick the middle finger up to Sony and make Call of Duty a console exclusive just for Xbox? Or, and this would be the route I would take, would you try to find a middle ground here with Sony through negotiations? Maybe get games like God of War or Spider-Man on your platforms too? Even though I think that's very, very unlikely. But that about does it here. I have been Kalo. I gave you the lowdown on all things gaming. Again, if you're new here, subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content. But I'll see you guys next time.